Welcome back. Before the break, we were talking to our distinguished guest today, Tania, Amir, Senior Advocate of Supreme Court, Bangladesh, a barrister at law. Tania, you were involved in so many other things as well, see, not just human rights, see. This thought at the back of my mind has always been there that I would like to ask some questions about ICT, the International Crimes Tribunal.
Of course.
And I say that you would be the best person to answer, perhaps. See, I've asked many questions to many people, but I haven't got my answers. So, what is the makeup of this ICT, and what does it stand for, and what is this international about it?
Okay, very good question, Neaz. International Crimes Tribunal Act 1973. This came into existence soon after the liberation of Bangladesh in order to try the perpetrators who committed genocide, crime against humanity, war crimes, and so on. You know, I am so proud to sit here in London and in your show here and to...
So are we.
Well, no, there's a special reason, and the very fact that we are talking about ICT. Do you know that this is the first statute in the world which codified what is crime against humanity, what is genocide, and so on? So when Nuremberg trials were held, you probably are aware, and perhaps many of your viewers are aware, some may not be, that there was no codified law based on which these trials were held. So it was based on international legal principles. Jurists like Oppenheim, you know, who had coined certain legal principles that crime against humanity is a crime that has always been crime in any civilized society. Yes? So based on those principles, which were sort of enunciated by luminaries and jurists, the Nuremberg trials were held. But there was no statute. There was no law. Bangladesh is the first country in the world where we codified this into a law, a statutory law. Right? So, answer to your question, International Crimes Tribunal. So, the crimes that are enlisted, and there are 5 crimes that is enlisted under this statute. These are crimes that are internationally recognized to be crimes. Crime against humanity, genocide, war crimes, and so on. Okay? So these are offenses. And this came into existence after 1971. So one question one could ask is that, well, you
just said 1973.
Yes, but the statute, this is exactly what I mean, this statute came into existence in 1973, but the offenses occurred in 1971. So one can ask that how are you trying offenses that is retrospective? How can you make something criminal today that wasn't a crime yesterday? Now the answer to that will come back again, because these are deemed to be crimes at all times. So what Bangladesh has done is codified it. But this question was raised in Parliament when this statute, from a bill, it was going to be converted into a statute. So this debate took place, and I got hold of, equivalent to what is Hansard in this country, I got hold of that. And you talked about, you mentioned my father, and he was one of the parliamentarians at the time, and he responded exactly on these lines, that these are crimes against humanity. They're always deemed to be crimes.
When was that?
In 1973. Okay, so, and secondly, in order to prevent these questions from arising, within our constitution, we also had a special provision inserted saying that no one can question this law on the basis that, it is having a retrospective operation. So, this also has a constitutional protection itself. So, second thing I want to talk about is that, do you know, in the definition of crime against humanity, we incorporated a concept that was not so prior our insertion before the humanity at large. That is mass rape. You know, after Bosnia, the world humanity has coined terms like ethnic cleansing. But in 71, what happened? You know, we didn't have language to describe the atrocities that happened, particularly against women. So in the definition of crime against humanity, rape went into it. Right? So that is another milestone achievement. In 1974, the world jurist was so impressed that we have a permanent law which contemplated setting up of a permanent court in Bangladesh. And it also had long-arm jurisdiction in the sense that if the offences were committed within the territory of Bangladesh, the court contemplated under this act would have the mandate to try those offenders, irrespective of their nationality, provided the offences occurred within the territory of Bangladesh. So that's the third reason, explanation as to why it is international to that extent. And I want to highlight about the World Jurist Conference that happened in 1974. So the criminal jurists across the world gathered in Bangladesh, in Bilia, Bangladesh Institute of Law and International Affairs. And a conference was held. And during the deliberation of this conference, there are many luminaries in the legal arena who were present. You know, they were so impressed with this statute. The concept of having an international ICC, you know, which we talk about today, it was conceived in Dhaka. So our law is a precursor to the ICC. And it took, yes, please allow me, it took another 20 years for the rest of the world to come together, you know, for ICC to be manifested into what is it today. So our law is, I would like to say very proudly, is the mother law to the Icc Statute. And you know something? If one looks and compares the Icc Statute and the definition of the offences, and if one compares our law and the definition of offences, I'm so proud to say it's almost like a copy and paste. So those who drafted our law, and my hair is standing up when I'm saying this, you know, they're world-class jurists. And the ICC has basically, you know, borrowed a lot from our statute, because this is the first statute in the world. But what is most unfortunate is that it took us another 40 years.
Well, hats off to you, but the point is,
no, but yes, just
it's in the book, right?
Let me just conclude by on this issue, saying that because of political reasons, it took us many, many years. The beautiful statute that we have, the International Crimes Tribunal Act, it took us another 40 years to activate this. So during the last tenure of the government, the mandate and the the election campaign was fought on this ground of trial of the the war criminals, the crimes against humanity, atrocities against the women that were committed, and so on. And this was led by young people of Bangladesh. It was not people who were alive in 1971 who saw the atrocities. The demand, was really teenagers, young adults, and it was their demand. So one can, it begs the question, what have they got to do with it? Because a lot of the international pressure upon Bangladesh was, forget and forgive, bury the hatchet, and so on. My sense is the young people of Bangladesh, they're world class, given the opportunity. In any given situation, they can rise to the top. And they want to be global citizens. And one connection they made, rightly or wrongly, is that the recent day phenomenon of terrorism, the sort of dogma is linked to those who were the perpetrators of these atrocities in 1971. So, you know, they are exposed to the danger.
Are you sure it's just an allegation?
Well, this is my perception. It's not an allegation at all. In fact, one of the counter-allegation against...
Well, most lawyers would say that unless it's been proved in a court of law, it's an allegation, and you are a lawyer.
It's not the question of an allegation. Most of those who are being tried before the International Crimes Tribunal Act, they happen to belong to a particular political party. So one of the allegation against the government is using this as a tool against Jamaat-e-Islam to suppress that. Okay? So the allegation is really the other way around. What I am expressing, which is a fact, is that Jamaat-e-Islam did not support the cause of Bangladesh. It sided with Pakistan at the time.
Well, let's not get into the
politics.
Politics and the name calling, because then we'll have to mention a lot of other things, you see.
Yes, I don't have a problem with that, because in Bangladesh and elsewhere, you know,
no, this is common talk, isn't it? I mean, if that is human rights, to have the chance to express your opinion. That's human rights, isn't it? Now, my point is, these oppressed women or the exploited women for whom these statutes were established and then the ICT was established and the cases are going on. Okay, apart from that. Women today, are they protected as much as they should be today you said that they are working, okay, they're working 10 to 12 hours every day, every night, for a few pence a day, and who is earning money? They are being exploited, that's my point. You might say that they are working, yes, they are working, they are surviving. At what level? They are being exploited, getting 21 cents a day in Dhaka.
Yes, I have
living.
Yes.
I go to Dhaka every year. Every year I go to Dhaka. At this time, in December, January, February, I am there, and I go and I find things for myself. 11 persons living in one room, fantastic, they are working. The money that they earn, $20 billion, where does it go? It does not improve their lot. The people, when incidents like Rana Plaza take place, people accuse Walmart, Next, Gap. What about the people who own these factories and have made situation like sweatshops, and people are working there? Why aren't they looking? The factory owners, you know them and I know them, they live in Gulshan. Gulshan is not part of the Dhaka that is well known for others, and they don't live in Dhaka really. For every single need of theirs, they go from Dhaka to Singapore, Dhaka to Bangkok. The less affluent of them will go to Dhaka, from Dhaka to Chennai, Dhaka to Bombay, Dhaka to Calcutta, see. For every single need, even for medical treatment, see. Those people who own these factories can afford to do that. But these people who are working 10, 12 hours every day cannot. This is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the flashy buildings, flashy cars. Look at the Pajeros in Dhaka. These poor chaps can't get even a cycle rickshaw. I'm talking about that. Yes. It's very good to have a statute in the book. Fantastic. Hats off to you and hats off to all the enlightened people.
Right. I think the two are not connected.
They are connected, definitely.
Wait. Let me answer. I think in your question you've already answered, and let me first say by saying that we are in the same side. You know, I agree with you 100%.
We are definitely on the same side, I know that.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Okay, so, and I think in the beginning of the program, if you replay, you'll see I've said that the investment isn't there. Although the successes and the earnings are because of these women, but society as a whole, we've given nothing in return. Okay?
That's a very good thing that we agree on this point. When we come back after this commercial
break. Another break?
Yes.
Your bread and butter, I can't say anything.
When we come back after this break, we will definitely go and discuss this matter.
Right, okay.
Thank you very much for being with us. We are enjoying this discussion with our very distinguished guest today. And I wish we had phone-ins so that you could contribute to the discussion too. But our email address is there. Please do chip in. Thank you. See you soon.